time the federal government is closed and Donald Trump has literally destroyed the East Wing of our White House to put his ballroom up for $250 million, we are now days away from eliminating food to 5.5 million Californians around Thanksgiving, at a time when food prices have never been higher because of Donald Trump's policies.
Yo, you tuning into the Notion Podcast. I'm your host, Dizzy D.Spill, and this is a very, very important episode of Outlawed Opinions. That is the California Governor, Gavin Newsom, our governor. For those that listen and don't know, I am currently in California, from California. And he said some very, it seems like pretty factual and controversial, depending on what side you stand in this conversation, what side you stand on in this conversation. And I say that because right now everything is so left, right, Democrat, Republican heavy. It's almost like it's party over country, party over people, you know, and that's kind of hard to understand when it comes to both sides. But yeah, this is what the governor is saying. I kind of like to play the whole content before I share my thoughts, but I'll kind of share my thoughts as we go through the video. It is true. You know, the government shutdown is affecting a lot of people, and it couldn't come at a worse time where Thanksgiving is around the corner. People aren't going to get their stamps. And I already know there's people out there that are going to say things like, well, you know, it's supposed to be short term. You're not supposed to be on government assistance, but we don't know everybody's story. Some people, you know, are on food stamps and things of that nature because they really do need to be on there. For something happened in time where anybody that's getting government assistance is considered the problem or part of the problem because of those that abused the system. And that's very unfortunate. I'm not really a fan of that. There are people that abuse the system and they should definitely be removed. But, you know, there's people that really need it. There's women out there that have no help with their children and they need that, and they are trying. They are doing the best that they can. And then there's people out there that are just manipulating the system and they don't need it. So I get that, but to vilify everyone because you're, you know, whoever's talking point at the time, political talking point at the time, that'll create, you know, some, I don't know, just not some cool conversations and outlooks on things. So I do understand, doing my own research, that it's not completely one side, but it is one side more than the other. And one of the biggest issues, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, just be respectful. I'm tired of cussing y'all out. Basically, for the Democrat side, there's something that they wanted to negotiate with the Affordable Care Act into this bill that they need all the signatures for, that the Republicans have put up. And the Republican side basically is like, no, we're not doing that right now. And I think it was more of like an extension or something like that the Democrats were asking for. And they're like, no, we're not doing that right now. And the Democrats are like, well, if you're not going to work with us, we're not going to work with you. So we're not just going to even entertain what you need our vote for. And so, boom, we have a government shutdown. The thing that I personally feel about government shutdowns is that I wonder how long they'll be shut down if they weren't getting paid and certain things stopped, like their benefits and stuff of that nature. I wonder. I do. I often wonder. But that's kind of the premise of the situation. But I'm going to keep going and let the Gavinator say what he got to say.
Have you had a cup of coffee? Have you bought a pound of beef?
Expensive.
At the same time, he found $20 billion to send to a fill in the blank. Maybe he's a dictator. Some have referred to him as that. In Argentina, he's cutting food to people around Thanksgiving. You've seen the lines of people already around the food banks. So we are fast tracking an $80 million investment. We're front loading it to get them to food banks. And we're using the framework that we established during COVID to build out our capacity to deliver quickly food to those in need around Thanksgiving by using Cal volunteers and the National Guard which is exactly what we did to distribute 800 million meals during COVID.
Yeah, that, this is what it's turning into as well. Where you live matters a lot because of the money that they will have or may not have to be able to put into the state when there's issues with the feds. The thing that I'm not really a fan of when we have these conversations and we talk about this type of stuff is the fact that people put so much energy and so much support into their political party that it kind of removes their humanity, if you ask me, and it kind of it just turns into something that it shouldn't be, and that's unfortunate. I really hate that part of things, and I don't know. It's just in California we'll most likely be okay, and that's not to be braggadocious or anything like that, or to be like we're it ain't gonna affect us one bit. But really what it boils down to is the fact that you have a situation where California happens to be pretty much its own economy. I mean, California is big enough to where we could break off from the United States. Would it hurt? Yeah, it hurt in many ways, but it can be done. Every state doesn't have those resources. Every county doesn't. There's a lot of rural areas here in the United States which voted red, are suffering right now. They were already suffering when it came to health benefits because of the things that were cut earlier this year. But now it shouldn't be about, having food just for Thanksgiving. It should be about people being able to have food. But it really is turning into a class war slowly. You got the race issues and you got the party issues, but you can tell that it's getting to be to a point where it really is going to be like rich versus poor. The middle class will be wiped out, and I could see the being the brokest of the rich. That'll be the new lower middle class, just comfortable enough to get through the week or the month or the year. But what the governor was saying, I do agree with some of those sentiments. It is unfortunate that it's happening. And what the hell are we talking about with this demo and these all this money going to the White House? Is, I'm sorry, if you pay taxes, there's no way that you agree with this with a clear mind. If you are a taxpayer, I don't care what political party you're on, if you are a taxpayer, you've got to be pretty irritated with some of the moves that this administration and the commander in chief are making financially. Just to turn around and blame the other side. The Dems do this. I told you guys once before, I'm independent. Because both of these parties have been screwing us over for a long time. And if you are a millennial, you definitely are feeling it compared to all of the things that we were taught and what we were told that we need to do. And if we do these things, we would be fine. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I just don't see too many millennials that are on either side of the bird, either wing, really just living it up right now. We're getting screwed. We did everything we were supposed to do as far as in going to school and getting careers or, whatever. And you're not really seeing the fruits of your labor. It seems like the younger generation is, but that generation got scammers and all kinds of other stuff and financial ways of dating and weird things like that. But this is a serious issue, and it seems like it's going to get a whole lot worse. And remember, folks, this is the first year of having a different administration back in office, and the food prices haven't went down. It's hard for a lot of people, even people that have money. It is hard for them. But I definitely want to know what people think about this. The fact that, that it seems like it's going to be a long shutdown, and the worst part about it, whether it's like, again, the Democrats or the Republicans, the people are suffering regardless. So for all of you out there that are Republican or MAGA, and it's the Dems, and it's the left, both sides get their money. They're getting paid. Both sides of those, political parties are getting their money. they can take as long as they want. So as much as you want to point at one side, the people that are on your side are getting paid, the people that you voted for, while you're not. And the same thing goes with the Democrats. This is a people issue. Okay. They're not tripping. You know, some of them maybe do care, but let's see how many of them are going to buy turkeys and go door to door, or be at the food kitchens, soup kitchens and stuff like that, preparing food and volunteering because of this matter. Let's see how many of them are doing that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section about what Governor Gavin Newsom had to say, as well as what you think about my perspective. And you know, if you want to rep your hood as far as in political party, go ahead. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section for real on that one. All right. Like, for real, let me know what you think. I got one more thing regarding this conversation that, you know, I wanted people to give their insight on. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on down like that, and bring in this next video and see what we're working with. All right.
In the last day, there has been 4 mass shootings in America. The first was at Howard University in D.C., where 5 people were shot and all of them died. The second was in North Carolina, where 13 people were shot and 2 died. The third was at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, where 7 people were shot and 1 died. And the fourth was in Houston, Texas, where 4 people were shot and 1 died. As of filming this video, we are 298 days into 2025. So far this year, there has been 370 mass shootings in this country. It's not merely another day, another mass shooting, as we are averaging well above that. We have an epidemic of gun violence in this country, and it is time for our government to do something about it. Their usual response of thoughts and...
Let me go ahead and pause that. That is Dean Withers. I like that kid. He's pretty sharp. I like how he definitely fact checks his information. I believe he actually debated Charlie Kirk one time, and he claims that his scene was cut out. I think it was the 20 verse whatever, you know, the debates that are on YouTube. But yeah, I came across his content because I thought he was sharp. And so shout out to you, Dean. You know, you're doing your thing. To me, he seems like the Captain America for the Democrats, kind of like how Charlie Kirk was a big symbol for the young Republicans. He's kind of, you know, Dean Withers is definitely the opposite. But even though we were talking about government shutdown, this is a big issue, you know, with the school shootings. It's been a huge issue since I was a kid. The first school shooting I ever found out about was in '98. I was in elementary school, and it was Columbine. That was the big thing. That nothing was bigger than Columbine when it happened at that time, and ever since then, it's in a crazy way, it's rapidly gotten worse, and it's grown to where now here we are, we're parents, and we're always keeping our head on a swivel, and we get text message notifications for certain threats, and it's pretty scary. I've even had a scare at my son's school, and so it's one of those things where it's like, man, it's unfortunate, but again, because we're in a time period where everything is about blaming one side instead of holding who we vote for accountable, you know, it's one of those things where it's scary. It really is scary. But I think the most unfortunate thing about it is there's hardly any coverage. The government shut down, and what Trump said about this person and what this person said about Trump, and Stephen A. versus Jasmine Crockett, and now he apologized to Jasmine Crockett, and everybody don't like Stephen A. All of this stuff, this information that's not important will get highlighted and talked about, and even on the content creating level, it'll get talked about. But things like this don't get talked about. And to me, I don't even really think it should be that hard to get the type of support to where we should be having school shootings down to 0. As much money is getting thrown around to other countries, into the White House and everywhere else, we should be able, and especially materials and guns and things for wars. You're trying to tell me we can't get a little bit of funding for schools, for school protection, just to have school security, more surveillance and stuff like that? Come on, get out of here. Stop it. Especially at these colleges that are getting all kinds of money. All kinds of money. Millions of dollars are going to these colleges, and you can't afford some kind of proper security. I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and let young Dean finish before you get out of here.
Prayers is simply not working. What we need is a real change in policy. But the thing is, at usual response, thoughts, and prayers, we didn't even hear that for the 4 mass shootings I went over in the beginning of the video.
Yeah.
They are becoming such a normal occurrence, literally happening every day in America, that now the government is maintaining complete silence and just simply brushing them under the rug. We can't let that happen. Stay vocal and stay upset. It's not politics, it's life or death.
I agree with that. Even though he has his political stance, he makes a really valid point that it's gone beyond the whole concept of politics. It really has. It's donezo, man. And so I really think it's very important for us to understand and acknowledge that. It really is. You know, when the Democrats were in office and they had more seats in one of the branches, everything was blamed on the Democrats. Well, now we have a new party in office, and I'm not saying to just openly go and blame them because they're in office, but man, these are things we got to talk about. What are we doing wrong? Let me ask you that. What is the U.S. citizens doing wrong to be in this position besides the votes, guys? Besides who you vote in your, for presidency and stuff, because you guys do have your local elections as well. So what are the citizens doing wrong? And then what are the politicians doing wrong? What are the Democrats and Republicans doing wrong? Because they both do wrong. They're both not perfect. You know what I would like to hear that I never hear? For those that are diehard Republican, I would challenge you to be honest enough and Christian enough to write in the comment section what you do believe the Republican Party has done wrong or is doing wrong and can be fixed within the next year or so. I challenge you to do that. Let's see how much accountability and humility you have. Democrats, you the Crips of politics. What would you guys say the Democrats are doing wrong? The little bit that are in there in the branches, right? And that have seats in something. You tell me what you think they are doing wrong that's contributing to the issues that are going on. All of you cats, if you don't give those type of comments in the comment section, you quick to say the left or the right, I'm going to already know that you probably have accountability issues. There's accountability to go around on both sides, especially with the shutdown. I did my research and I read it and I shared a little bit with you guys. But put that in the comment section. But overall, leave your comments and let me know what you think about what Governor Gavin Newsom said and what Dean Withers had to say as far as in not taking, these school shootings and, taking them seriously and only giving thoughts and prayers and going on about your day. Anyways, you've been tuning in to the Notion Podcast, Outlawed Opinions with your boy, Dizzy D.Spill. Again, let me know what you think. If this is your first time here, please subscribe and turn the notifications on at the bell so you don't miss any more of the content. Until next time, peace.